If you ever Googled how much do I need to retire, you've probably seen things like you need £1 million, you need to times your expenses by 25, or just use the 4% rule and you'll be fine. Now, this is a great starting point. The problem is this takes no account for your personal situation in terms of when you're going to be retiring, how much you're going to be spending, if you're going to be retiring alone or as a couple, and also any potential state pension or other benefits that you might have in retirement. So in this video, I'm going to talk you through the exact framework financial planners use to work out if their clients have sufficient monthly income and assets to actually meet their expenses, starting from £2,000 a month from retirement all the way through to £5,000 a month. But if you're new here, my name's Ben, I'm a financial planner, and my aim is to help as many people as possible gain more confidence and clarity around their financial plan. So how do financial planners actually go about working out if their clients have sufficient income and assets to be able to retire? Now, what most financial planners use is something called backtesting. And what this is simply is using the last 100 years of historical market returns and saying, if you retired at any point during those 100 years, how much percentage chance would you have of your plan succeeding? So what we're saying is, if you retired at any specific point, what are the percentage chances that your plan would be successful? Now, a very conservative way of looking at this would be to say, we want that financial plan to have a 100% success rate. So that means even if you retired at the very worst point, let's say 2000, you would have then gone through the dot-com bubble and the global financial crisis, and your plan still would have been successful, i.e., you still would have had sufficient income and assets to be able to meet your expenses throughout retirement. So using that 100% as an example, how much would you need to be able to retire at age 60 and spend £2,000 a month? In the backtested data, this figure is £750,000. Now, this is a great starting point, but do we really need to aim for a 100% success rate? And my view on that is no, because quite frankly, people can adjust and adapt as their life and retirement progresses. So what we like to do instead is aim for a 90% success rate. The reason for this is because that means that still in 9 of the 10 scenarios, you would have had a successful financial plan. That then gives us enough confidence that plan's going to succeed, but also allows for a bit of wriggle room if you do happen to retire in one of those poorer years. So using that same £2,000 a month example, a 90% success rate actually means that instead of £750,000, that figure falls to £570,000. So you can see that even just that slight adjustment in the success rate makes a huge difference in terms of the actual pot size you'll need. Next, we factor in something that a lot of people overlook, and that's the fact that you're not likely to be expending the same at age 60 as you are at age 80, for example. And that's simply because you are going to be enjoying your time a lot more in your early retirement years than your later retirement years on things like holidays, because clearly the older you get, the less able you are to do things like that. So it's important we factor that in too. So a good rule of thumb we use is that around age 75, we tend to see that people reduce their expenses. Not huge, but by about 25%. So in this example, we would take the expenses from £2,000 a month to £1,500 a month. So what does this do to our target retirement pot? So again, that 570,000 falls to 510,000 after we've taken into account the likely reduced expenses from age 75. Now, the final adjustment we need to make is for the state pension, because clearly that is for some people a significant amount of their income in retirement. And for most people, that's going to start from age 67 and it's going to be £12,000 a year. So once we factor that in, how does that have an impact on that pot, the size that we need? Now, this has the biggest impact in terms of the pot size. So that goes from 510,000 previously to £330,000. So you can see there that those 3 adjustments have over halved the actual pot size you need in order to retire with £2,000 a month of income. Okay, so now we've locked those adjustments in. How does that have an impact on the other monthly income targets? But before we move on, if you are enjoying this video and getting value from it, please do consider giving it a like. £3,000 a month, your target pot size is £580,000. For £4,000 a month, your target pot size is £840,000. And for £5,000 a month, your target pot size is £1,090,000. There's something else we've not factored in here, because this is all based on you retiring on your own. However, if you're in a couple, clearly that makes a massive difference in terms of the pot size. And the biggest reason for that is the fact that you should both have a full state pension. So your guaranteed income goes from £12,000 to £24,000. So how does this have an impact on the figures? So for £2,000 a month income, that drops the figure from £330,000 to £210,000. For £3,000 a month, that figure falls from £580,000 to £420,000. For £4,000 a month, that goes from £840,000 to £670,000. And for £5,000, that goes from £1,090,000 to £920,000. Now, it's important to say that those figures for a couple are based on your joint pot size. So as an example, if you are aiming for that £5,000 a month, that £920,000 is a combination of both. So for example, one of you could have £500,000, the other of you could have £420,000, and that combined should get you to a point where you can fund your lifestyle expenses of £5,000 a month. Now, a point to add on all of this is that there's a big thing we haven't factored in here, and that is long-term care expenses. Now, this can vary quite a lot, but typically you're going to see anywhere from £50,000 to £100,000 a year of expenses for long-term care. And again, it's obviously very difficult to work out exactly when this is going to be and how long for. But typically we would factor this in from around age 90 for about 5 years. However, I've not included this in the model because, quite frankly, this is something that you can kind of adjust and adapt to. And the big thing we've also not factored in is if you've got a property with significant equity in, the likelihood is that when you go into that long-term care, you'll probably sell that and use the equity to fund the long-term care. So in summary, the number doesn't need to be fixed. It all depends on how cautious you are, how flexible you want to be with your spending, and when you retire. But hopefully that gives you a rough guide in terms of the amount of money you'll need to retire with those certain levels of income based on an actual real world example and an actual methodology that financial planners use. Now, if you've got any comments on the things discussed in this video, please do leave them in the comments because I will be going through all of these and responding to them all. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you've got some value from it. Please do subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.